On today's show, hey, Venom, it's getting a sequel. It's official. We have all the latest surprises and winners from the Golden Globes and Avengers Endgame. They ruined the first 15 minutes in the trailer. Possibly. We'll talk about it on Collider Movie Talk.
That's how you market a movie. We're just going to show you 15 minutes. That's it.
15 minutes.
That's all you get.
Maybe 20. Maybe that's what we're sticking to. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Collider Movie Talk on this glorious Monday afternoon here in California. That is John Rocha.
Hello.
That is Perri Nemiroff. They're each members of a gym. I am Mark Ellis, and, I get in a hike when I can. We have so many great movie news stories to get to today. We got some surprises, some things we just learned up top. Rocha, Perri, did y'all have good weekends before we get into the movie minutia?
I had a great weekend.
She really sold that, too.
We're playing more fantasy football, and I'm really happy that I won.
Very good.
For at least this weekend.
This one is competitive beyond competitive. They use capital letters with her. And so she peer pressured me. I felt like I was back in high school.
It was not just me.
She goes, I won't believe you until you put money on the table. You put money on the table. So I joined. I split mine with Snyder because he has some funky way of doing scoring in our fantasy league. So we're now competing in some fantasy football playoff edition. Pai-Gow. Something called Pai-Gow. I don't know.
Well, it was nice to get the invite for that. I would have gone 2 out of 4 because that double doink, man, that is a tough break. All you Chicago fans, that's a tough way. It's tough to lose a game on a kick anyway, but a double doink, that's going to go down in infamy. We're very sorry. Treat him right, Philly fans. Be classy, especially to the kicker, Cody Parkey. Well, we kick off with our story that is everybody's talking about it right now. Literally right now they're talking about it because the news just broke courtesy of Variety, and that is Venom. It's getting a sequel. Is that a surprise to anybody? It was a surprise to me when I saw the box office returns for what Venom was doing, not just in the first weekend, but week after week after week. The movie made gobs of money, surprised a lot of people despite a mixed reaction from critics. Fans seem to get on board with Tom Hardy as the iconic superhero villain, I'm not really sure what to call him, but we are going to call him as a guy getting a new movie. Tom Hardy will return. Michelle Williams is reported to be returning, as is Woody Harrelson. I hope he's returning. He wasn't in the first one all that much. And writer Kelly Marcel is going to be the head screenwriter here. She was one of the screenwriters of the first Venom, and now she's going to be tackling the script. The producerial changes are minimal. We probably will have a new director, though. Ruben Fleischer is going to be busy working on Zombieland 2. So we're not sure who's directing the movie at the moment, but we know it's being written currently. Perri Nemiroff, I walked in about 30 minutes ago to our Collider studios here, and you greeted me with this news. So
I did.
What do you think?
I'm kind of all for it. I don't think Venom is the greatest movie out there, but I did have a good time with it. And like I said when I reviewed that movie, I really like the relationship between the symbiote and Eddie Brock, so I want more of that. And one of the things I like about this piece most is that Kelly Marcel, it says they didn't know or they couldn't reveal the specifics about her deal, but they said that it was a significant one. And you know what? If you're a key part in creating a movie that makes a ton of money and you move on with the franchise, that's pretty much what should happen.
Yeah, that's the encouraging thing about this news to me, Rocha, is that you see somebody and you're not just treating the writers as a commodity that can be replaced easily. Now, let's be honest. In Hollywood, can they? Yes. I think a lot of people behind the scenes, doesn't matter how big of a director you are, example, James Gunn, you can be replaced based on how the studio feels. But with a writer like Kelly Marcel being promoted to, it's not really, I guess, a promotion because there might be other writers that come in. We don't know. We're not that far down the road yet. But her getting a huge pay increase says that Sony believes in where she can take this universe.
It's also let you know that she was probably the driving force behind that script itself. She did a team of writers, like you said, it's a group of writers who wrote it, but her standing out, the way they handed her, the way they paid her the money, I think that lets you know that she was the driving force with creating the story in that first one. So they trust her to create something just as magical in the second one, or at least just as financially viable in the second one. I bet Tom Hardy was like, it made what? I'm all right. Yeah, okay, I'll come back. How much are you going to pay me? It's not like he has a bunch of hits on his resume currently. Yes, a lot of respected performances, but not necessarily a bunch of hits. So this is a smart move overall for him financially. It makes a lot of sense. I love this idea, though, that they're keeping the continuity. We see too many times where studios knock it out of the park with one film and then they just completely revamp it from the beginning because maybe the critics didn't receive it so well or whatever. No, they understand, look, we made a lot of money on this. Let's roll the dice again, see what we can do. And hopefully, I mean, at least for me, hopefully they make a better film than the first one. I'm not knocking what it made. It made what it's made. It's got it, people love that or enjoyed the film, but I would like a little bit better or a little more nuanced film that doesn't lose any of the comedy that you had between the symbiote and Tom Hardy. So hopefully that'll be there too. And maybe Start speculating Spider-Man time, Spider-Man appearance, Tom Holland appearance. We don't know, but I think they also see one last thing. I think they also see that this is where they're going to spin off. You might see some spin-offs to other things that they were kicking around before with Silver and Black, what have you. Who knows?
Well, that's the big question, Perri, is that, because we talked a lot about will Spider-Man show up when the first Venom was in production. We thought, yeah, he's definitely going to get at least a post-credit scene. That didn't happen. Will it happen with Venom 2?
I mean, it is absolutely impossible to say at this point in time because, I mean, we're talking about them hiring a writer for something. They got to hire a writer. She's got to write a script.
Is she writing a post-credit scene right now?
There's going to be multiple drafts. Then it goes into pre-production, blah, 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 blah. It continues on and on. We're not going to see this movie for so long. Who knows what we're going to get in terms of Sony Spider-Man Marvel properties between now and then. And I think as time goes on, maybe we'll be able to speculate a little more accurately than just throwing something out there. But I can't help myself. I think we will get Spider-Man at that point.
I wholeheartedly agree, because I just think that Marvel, with the MCU, can fly just in its perpetual motion above everybody else at 35,000 feet of a cruising altitude, but you can't ignore the success of Venom, particularly when this villain
just threw that out there too. Like I had no clue what I was saying,
but I'm totally with you.
Feeding into that
because they look at where the future of not forget Venom, of where Spider-Man is going to go, and you have a gaggle of villains that we know we're going to see in Spider-Man Far From Home. Yep. So I think this could pair up nicely. You get Far From Home this summer, Rocha. You guys believe that this summer, you get a new Spider-Man movie? It's pretty exciting. Oh, by the way, the other one we're going to talk about in just a couple, because it won an award last night. Do you think we're going to see Spider-Man in Venom 2?
Yeah, I think we will see a Spider-Man in Venom 2. That's what I'll say. I think we'll see a Spider-Man in Venom 2. I don't know which Spider-Man we'll see in Venom 2, but I know we'll see a Spider-Man in Venom 2, or I think we'll see. But the thing also is Carnage. Now, Carnage, remember the producer of the film, after the film came out and was successful, said, we can make a PG-13 Carnage film. That's going to be interesting to see how they walk that line, because Carnage is a very R-rated, bordering on X-rated villain in the comic books, with the amount of blood and violence and gore that he carries out. So, because he's supposed to be an even more crazier symbiote than what we saw in the first film. So we'll see what Carnage does, and if they can keep the parameters at PG-13, because that must have been another reason why they made so much money having it PG-13 rather than R.
Okay, let me ask you all this question then. Are we going to see Venom in Spider-Man Far From Home?
What?
Is there any chance that Venom... I'm just stirring some stuff up here.
Absolutely not a hard no on that one. I would be shocked. Okay. I will drink a whole case of Coors Light. If Venom
all right, that's what I was going for. Perri Nemiroff is going to tap the Rockies this summer, because the post-credit scene counts, right?
Yeah, it counts, but I still don't think it's going to happen.
All right, Rocha, are you as sure as Perri?
Yes, but we might see a Venom mask. We might see an allusion to Venom.
I wouldn't hold you to that.
No, that doesn't count.
I'd make you have one Coors Light if we saw some kid dressed as Venom in the movie. Our next story is, again, some more breaking news, and this is courtesy of MTV News' interview with Kevin Feige on the red carpet of the Golden Globes last night. It was the 76th annual one, and this one, well, it was the first Golden Globes where they got to ask him about Avengers Endgame, particularly when presented with the notion that the trailers for Endgame would not feature more than the first 15 to 20 minutes of the movie. And Kevin Feige said that was entirely possible, that we're not going to get more than that footage in any of the trailers. That includes all the TV spots, all the trailers that you see at movie theaters. I love this idea. I think it's the right way to market Avengers Endgame, because this isn't the old days of 2012 when they were trying to sell Avengers and cutting all these trailers, even one trailer where you could kind of see Iron Man saving Hulk. When the hell in that movie does that happen? You're not going to get that situation with Avengers Endgame. They trust in the Disney marketing machine, as Kevin Feige intimated, particularly Rocha. I think the MCU knows how to market this movie. They know they don't have to do a whole hell of a lot of marketing for this movie, at least in terms of footage that you reveal, because you already have so many butts in seats by the time this movie is released, April 26th.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And also, who are the 5 people that are, I'm going to need to see a good trailer to see if I'm going to go see this. There's not that many people.
Let me see that raccoon talk one more time.
What are you going to do with the tree? Look at a tree. It's a nice tree. You want to get a bunch of people to come in. I mean, we're all going to go see this thing multiple times, so that the money's already there. I think they realize, hey, look, all we need to show is this much. Maybe there's a little more to throw into a second trailer, maybe a hint at the 20th minute mark, maybe throw a scene from there in there. But that's it. And I think it's smart all around because I think a lot of us don't want to be spoiled. I think a lot of us who love this series, who have enjoyed this as it's gone along, and especially that last movie, don't want to have anything spoiled for us before we walk into the theater. You know what we do, there's always that danger of stuff being spoiled to us. We are fans at heart first and foremost, but having the possibility of having these things spoiled for us before we actually see the whole film is a danger for us even more so than the regular fans. So that's even on our end, we're like 15, I feel like for me, at least speaking for me, 15 minutes is good enough. Until I walk into that theater and see the whole thing, I'm happy with just the 15 minutes. Cool. I'm fine with that. Work with that.
Rocha's happy with 15 minutes. Perri, is there any scenario where you could see Disney, Marvel needing to put more than 15 to 20 minutes of this movie into a trailer? And I'm thinking about maybe showing the return of someone that disappeared just briefly, just even if you freeze frame it so you can say, hey, wait a minute, that person might be coming back.
That I don't think is going to happen. But I mean, you know, the Avengers Infinity War trailer didn't have any footage from the third act battle in it, right? Like none at all. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It did.
It had fake scenes in it.
I don't necessarily, but I mean, even in the quote, he's like, it's somewhat accurate that we're not going to see anything beyond 20 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if a shot or two popped up there. It doesn't sound like this is a cut and dry quote there, but yeah, they know how to keep spoilers out of the conversation. So I imagine the large majority of the footage is going to be from the very, very beginning of the movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some sort of, you know, spotlight-worthy hero shot that comes up later on in the film.
But do we believe them? Because they tricked us.
Well, I know that they tricked us.
With Hulk and them running in Wakanda, they could throw something in there to trick us.
I mean, that didn't feel super manipulative to me. It was still a beautiful shot. I don't really care. It looked cool and it played well in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it did. It absolutely did.
I think that this trailer is going to be so heavily scrutinized more from what time and place in the movie is this scene taking place than maybe any other trailer that we've ever seen. My favorite part about Feige's quote on the red carpet last night was that he said that they wouldn't want to give away one of the many, many, many surprises in the movie. I mean, he's saying there's a lot of surprises in this movie, and just from what I've heard, it's going to be, if you thought Avengers Infinity War was something, just wait till you see Avengers Endgame. So the whole universe is about to change come April 26th. We're kind of looking forward to that movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not just Perri's not looking forward to it. But Perri's just all about Venom.
I'm an awful liar.
She's all about Spider-Man and chugging that Coors Light. Well, it's not just the Marvel characters that are having a good day or a good year or a good 10 years at the box office, because Aquaman has really shored up some of the DCU's recent problems. He might be the first superhero in the DC universe to cross $1 billion worldwide at the box office. Yes, $1 billion could be made by a guy named Aquaman. Who would have thunk that? But then Jason Momoa gets cast at him. You bring in James Wan. You have some success with movies like Wonder Woman and others. And all of a sudden, we care about Aquaman more so than any character in DC universe history. The movie made $31 million at the domestic box office this weekend. And that was good once again for the top spot. Escape Room debuted to a very impressive $18.2 million. Only cost $9 million to make. Perri, I know that makes you happy. Mary Poppins, her comeback remains stellar. $15.9 million. Bumblebee, $13.2 million. And at number 5, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Golden Globe winner for Best Animated Film, $13.1 million. I see Spider-Verse continuing to do well at the box office on the heels of its award success as we lead into the Oscars. But I don't want to bear the headline here, Perri. I just am not sure what the headline is. Is it Aquaman's continued success or is it Escape Room?
No, Aquaman has the headline here. And when it comes to Aquaman, this is how you play the holiday box office. It's like what we were talking about in November leading up to the release of so many big movies. Yeah, maybe you're not going to have an opening that's 100 million plus, but you open with a solid number and then you have legs. And wow, is this movie having legs. If it crosses that $1 billion mark, that is a huge, huge feat that only bodes well for Shazam and whatever comes after it from there. And then, yeah, Escape Room. I want that sequel. And you know what? $18 million sounds like it's going to get me a sequel. I think that is a great, great concept that definitely pleases the Final Destination lover in me. And I think it definitely suits the franchise format where you could take the escape room setting, like the Death Design setting, and just keep telling those stories with new characters and new escape rooms.
Speaking of Final Destination, More on that in a little bit. John Rocha, you are a big Mary Poppins guy.
Massive.
You're a big Bumblebee guy.
Yes.
You weren't the biggest Aquaman guy.
No, I wasn't.
Explain yourself, sir.
Yes, explain myself to everyone out there. Hey, look, the movie made money. That's all. Like, that's what's important here for the studios. You know, it's business. That's the business. They made that money. They're only 60 million away from crossing 1 billion, and so it's absolutely going to happen, barring the end of the world. So I have no surprise there in terms of the way it's been tracking over the last few weeks. So that's great for them. But I think if you look at this even more deeply, I think it tells you that there are a multitude of DC fans. The DC fan base has not gone anywhere. It wants to go see this movie, patronize these movies. I mean, Suicide Squad made over $700 million, and everybody hated that film. BVS didn't do that well, or did well, but wasn't well received. Justice League was the only one, because of the Frankenstein nature of it, I think turned off the DC fans. And so the DC fans showed up in force to support Aquaman. So that you can't deny. So I think what Perri says is absolutely right. It bodes well for Shazam, bodes well for any other DC films that are coming down the pike, the Joker, maybe even Green Lantern if that gets done the next couple of years. All of that bodes well. And of course, I'm sure we'll see a sequel soon, but overall, this is fantastic for them. Who would have ever thought Aquaman, one of the forgotten, like people like make fun of Aquaman all the time, that just the casting of Jason Momoa, the way it was introduced, then there's something about this movie that like a lot of people really enjoy, and we hear about it on Twitter. Perri and I hear about it on Twitter, how many people enjoy it, and they went multiple times to see the movie, so you got to give it credit. But to me, one of the most interesting things coming out of the box office was the performance of The Mule. The Mule is at $81 million. That is shocking to me for a Clint Eastwood film that is just quietly chugging along.
It's not getting a lot of Oscar consideration. It's just a movie that came out.
Yeah. Well, a lot of his movies do tend to make a good deal of money.
Yeah, but they also get a lot of prestige and a lot of notoriety behind them. This one is one of those ones that doesn't have that, and yet it's not doing. And yet it's doing $81 million just quietly chugging along on a $50 million production budget. It was kind of high. That was surprising to me.
Good Christmas counter programming.
Yeah,
we had all these big franchise properties out there, and then all of a sudden you have a movie from Clint Eastwood that appeals to an older crowd, and that was all, I think, except maybe Vice, the only option.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say that Aquaman's success is just based on the amount of theaters that it's in. It's still playing in over 4,000 theaters domestically. Its per screen average was a very impressive north of $7,000, which is even higher than Escape Room, which was playing in 2,700. The only movies to top Aquaman per screen are very small independent releases that do have a lot of Oscar consideration, movies like A Destroyer, like Cold War, like On the Basis of Sex, and Stan and Ollie just came out too, and is very limited release. So Aquaman, as far as major releases go, it's doing everything right. It's checking all the boxes, and it will get to $1 billion. We move on to, I wanted to keep it on superheroes just because we've kind of started out talking. Well, I'm not sure that Venom's a superhero. I'm not ready to give him the superhero treatment, but obviously we love our Avengers. We want some of them to come back into this ether. We were fans of Aquaman, at least how much money it's making, Rocha.
Yeah.
And we wanted to give you a quick superhero update. So this is a new fun segment where we're going to update you on all the latest and greatest in the world of superheroes. As we mentioned, Aquaman about to cross $1 billion at the box office, and that is going to lead right into Shazam, which, let's not forget, Shazam isn't too far away. All of a sudden, Zachary Levi's in that movie come April. So Shazam, there's a lot going right in the DC side of the superhero universe. And then Perri Nemiroff, our own Perri Nemiroff, had a set visit at Captain Marvel, and we're about to get a lot more details on that.
Oh boy, he knows all too well how hard I've been working on. The set visits are such a wonderful privilege, and it's something that I take great pride in and feel very lucky to get to do. But once you go on it, you got to put in the work. And I will tell you, there is so much good content coming your way tomorrow.
Yeah, and today what you guys can do is join us because there was a video that surfaced about one David Dunn. If the name David Dunn doesn't immediately ring a bell, think about Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable and in the new movie Glass. This video came out asking simply, hey, you a hero? Are you a villain? There's a quiz that you can take at glassheroorvillain.com. Perri and Rocha, my beloved panelists, who you guys actually took the quiz, and the quiz will tell you based on your answers whether you are in fact a hero or a villain. I'm just looking at y'all, and I can't tell who is
I'm going to be so mad if he's a hero.
Are you a hero?
No.
Neither
You're a villain.
was I.
I was surprised. I thought I was answering hero answers, and I came out a villain. So it's an interesting quiz. I like it. You might walk in thinking you're answering it in a certain way, and by the end you might be like, wait, what? How am I a villain? And it's actually a really it's not one of those easy quizzes you take. It's a well-constructed quiz that's fun to think about.
It's a thinker.
Afterwards. Yeah, and I enjoy that. Those are fun quizzes.
I take these online quizzes very seriously. I do not lie during them, but I did think I was picking the hero answer the entire time still, and I was not that.
I retook it a second time and still came out a villain. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here.
Somebody else just took took it right before we went to air. I went to the website, glassherovillain.com, and I, Mark Ellis, am proud to say I'm also a villain. I'm a bad guy. But you know what? When I was answering the questions, I started to think, like, wait a minute, maybe I would enjoy bending steel a little too much because it's time too. That's the fun part, is it's time. So you only have a limited amount of time to actually answer the question. So you got to think like, oh, I don't know which one. Boom. And I think by halfway through, I was like, I'm a bad guy, aren't I? Yeah, I'm a terrible human being.
Shouldn't I feel lucky if I survive a train crash? Should I feel happy?
Happy is the nasty version.
Yeah, you're like, whoo, I really got out of that one. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what was the need versus necessary one? Which one did you pick?
Violating your code. If you're violating a code,
you
take an oath.
You're telling a lie.
And what did you say? Yeah. It's necessary when it's... I picked necessary. How are we coming out the same way?
Yeah, I know. I think it must be another one that we're answering.
You guys ever think that maybe the quiz can actually see into your soul and it actually knows that y'all are villains? Man, I just had fun with the quiz, but these two real-life villains. Do you think you're a hero like David Dunn? Then you should go check out the quiz. It takes a couple minutes, and you can actually come back in the chat room and tell us, were you a hero? Was anybody a hero out there, or are we all just a bunch of villains? Go to glassherovillain.com. Find out if you're a hero like David Dunn. Very excited to check out Glass, which some of us get to do sooner rather than later. It's in theaters later on this month. Well, we want to move on, but before we do that, I'm going to remind y'all to check out Collider Sports Time. That was today. We covered all the latest in the playoff action, all the surprises. I went 2 for 4 with my picks.
Nice. I think I pretty much got them all right except for the Eagles-Bears game.
Yeah.
I anticipated that I thought the Bears were going to win that game, and unfortunately they did not. We talked about it all this morning at Collider Sports Time. Taylor Bisciotti from the NFL Network came and joined us. Makuga was back. We had a lot of fun with those as well, talking all that. We also talked the national championship game tonight that is happening probably in a little bit after you watch this, and also some NBA talk with Tom Thibodeau being fired by the Timberwolves this morning in a shock move.
I saw it. Cleaning house, man.
All that on Collider Sports YouTube and podcast channel. So.
And we also have, for your consideration, is recapping the night that was at the 76th annual Golden Globes, Perri. And I know that everybody checked out the Golden Globes last night. Even if you didn't watch the ceremony, you probably at least saw the winners and the losers. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I did. The one that I really wanted to see, the segment, was the Carol Burnett honor, and I thought that was so well done. Steve Carell introducing Carol Burnett. She was great. Her and Dick Van Dyke together in the same room was just, it felt magical. So I got some of that classic Golden Globes feel, but the big winners of the night were Bohemian Rhapsody as far as the best motion picture in the drama category. In the comedy and musical category, the off-maligned comedy and musical category, Green Book took top honors, and the best animated movie, like we said before, went to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But there were so many surprises, so many great moments last night, in my opinion. Perri, what were some of the highlights, maybe a surprise that you weren't expecting?
A surprise that I wasn't expecting. Well, I'll say the one that I got to highlight on For Your Consideration earlier because it was my favorite moment of the entire ceremony, and it was to see Regina King win because it felt like leading up to the Globes last night, especially when you consider how many nominations Vice got, that kept making me think, the HFPA really loves Vice. Vice is going to win everything. Sure enough, Christian Bale won. I was sure Amy Adams was going to take that award, even though I would have picked Regina King. And then she won, and then not only did she win, but I think she gave one of the best speeches of the entire night. That is something that I think you really get the opportunity to get up there and use the spotlight for in that moment like that. I mean, that's the kind of thing that not only is it a well-deserved honor, and I'm so happy she won that award, but then she gets up there and uses that platform, one, for good, and two, when you do something like that reverberates in that way, it also winds up helping your Oscar chances too, because you're in the spotlight, you're in the forefront, and then sure enough today, that's when Oscar voting begins. So people are coming fresh off of that wonderful speech and her wonderful performance, and then they're going to vote for Oscar nominations.
Yeah, and also whoever's doing the music at the Oscars can kind of time out when they come in because they came in way too early in Regina King, and then they're like, okay, sorry, we're going to stop the music. You keep talking. That happened a couple times throughout the night. I think maybe the most surprised person to hear their own name get called, Rocha, was Glenn Close. Yeah. And I love that Glenn Close, she found out she won. She was so surprised. It was adorable. The first person she goes goes to when she leaves her table, Michael Douglas. So it's a Fatal Attraction reunion. Then she gets up and gets the award from Gary Oldman. So it's an Air Force One reunion because she was the vice president on the ground trying to negotiate with this evil terrorist.
Yeah.
One of the moments that you thought was a surprise from the Golden Globes last night.
Spider-Verse, I really just was shocked out of my mind. Not because we all love it, but the idea of rewarding a superhero animated feature film over Disney stuff, you know, it almost never happens. So I was so shocked that it happened, and I think it bodes well for its Oscars chances as well. I'm hoping it takes it, because this is such a dark horse of a film to slide in there and take some of the shine off of, you know, Wreck-It Ralph 2, off of Incredibles 2, all this kind of stuff, to slide in there. I was very happy about that. I would add to what you talked about with Carol Burnett, I would add the Jeff Bridges montage was incredible. That, as a fan of him, watching all, I mean, you just when you watch those montages as you get older in life, you watch those montages, like, man, I've been really watching this guy this long and remembering all those movies. And that's the great thing about film. You have a sensory memory of seeing that scene in a theater with that guy or at home for the first time, and it brings it all back. And he had such a great speech as well. Burnett, of course, Carol Burnett was just classy beyond classy. But the Bohemian Rhapsody was a real surprise to me.
I was going to ask
with
both
all
y'all
the
about
controversy
that,
around it.
Bohemian Rhapsody gets announced as the Best Picture winner, and by that point at the Golden Globes, there's a wave of drunkenness, of just excitement that comes in. So it sounds like whatever movie won, people are excited about. But I did feel like a little bit of the air got taken out of the room. I mean, it was one of 5 nominees in the Best Motion Picture Drama category. I would take Beale Street or A Star Is Born or Black Panther or Black Klansman over Bohemian Rhapsody. That's just me. I'm just one person. I'm not even that smart of a human. But Bohemian Rhapsody, to me, did it enhance its chances to win Oscar Gold last night? Or do you think that maybe some of the backlash that people are seeing on social media today would actually hurt its chances of repeating at the Oscars?
I think it has absolutely nothing to do with its chances to win an Oscar. I will say that I think this tipped the scale in a positive direction for it to get a nomination. Wow. And again, we're talking about 2 completely different voting bodies here. It's not like because it won, those same people are going to vote for Oscar nominations. But it just goes back to what I was saying before about Regina King. You had a super hot night, and then all of a sudden the Academy is placing its votes today for those nominations. Maybe that could work in its favor. And I believe it did also get the PGA nod, which normally is a very good sign for a Best Picture nomination. I think the more surprising thing than Bohemian, even though they're tied together, but more surprising than Bohemian Rhapsody winning is how much A Star Is Born didn't win.
Yeah.
Because going into it, I thought it was going to be another La La Land scenario where A Star Is Born just sweeps all of it, maybe not necessarily all of its categories, because I thought Alfonso Cuarón would win, but I think it was the front runner in just about everything else, and then it walks away with just 1 of 5.
I think actually, this is an interesting point you bring up, Perri, because I have the opposite point of view. I think the controversy surrounding the film today with Bohemian Rhapsody, the Academy does not like controversy, as we just saw with Kevin Hart. Like, they don't like any kind of controversy around this very, regal celebration of movies. And I would be very surprised if Bohemian Rhapsody gets a nomination for Best Picture at all. I think they don't want to have any kind of reverberations with the Bryan Singer stuff, any kind of issues with there at all. So, I think it might hurt its chances because of the reaction that people had to it winning. That being said, Rami Malek, I thought, deserved that Golden Globe. He was incredible in that movie, and so I'm happy he won. But the other thing you brought up, it may also motivate A Star Is Born supporters in the Oscars field that are voting to vote even harder for A Star Is Born, and really not like kind of go, well, maybe I'll.
They're going to punch that Chad.
Yeah, like they're like, like if they were waffling on something, like, I don't want to go all the way Star Is Born down the ballot. Maybe now they go, oh hell yeah, because Bohemian might win.
The gloves have come off.
Yeah, there's always that possibility. People, Harvey Weinstein made a science out of campaigning for films to push it over the edge. Who knows what campaign Star Is Born may do now or this morning, what they were doing to kind of push it forward. So I think that it could be a reaction by the voters that way.
Yeah, regardless of the Bohemian Rhapsody winning in the Best Drama category, I 100% co-sign what you said about Rami Malek. I think he deserved that Oscar. I thought he gave a great speech too, and I think part of the reason why it wasn't more of an odd feeling last night once Bohemian Rhapsody won, it was a little bit of a surprise, is the fact that Brian May and Roger Taylor, Queen was there.
Yeah.
They were there sitting in the front. They get up. What are you going to do? Boo Brian May? Come on. Guy's a rock and an astrophysicist legend. Love me some Queen. All right. Move on to our last category. You guys can go to Collider.com, by the way, for all the latest and the entire recap of what is at the Golden Globes. But I do want to ask you guys one more question.
Okay.
Hosting. Andy Samberg, Sandra Oh, how do you think they did? I enjoyed the monologue. I don't see what the problem is.
I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say a lot of it was laugh out loud funny, but I will say that especially at this specific point in time, I would rather have a whole bunch of jokes not pan out super well, but have a positive vibe to them than have something mean-spirited that gets a laugh out of me.
So you would rather take them than, at least for this year, the temperature right now, than Ricky Gervais, say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move too. So they did a capable job. I think a lot of the jokes didn't land, but Sandra Oh had a really sweet thing to say at the beginning, saying, this is real, this is really happening. An Asian lady now, and then she won her award, which making her the first double winner as an Asian actress. That's fantastic.
Her parents were there.
Yeah, her parents were there. All of it. So that's a positive award. And Sandberg is a very funny guy, so it was enjoyable to watch, even though some of the jokes didn't land. I think Perry's right. It's like you just want something peaceful because Christian Bale took care of all the off-color comments you need to have that were controversial when he won his award, thanking Satan and everything. By the way, I'd love to see him host an award show with that accent of his.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, I'd love it. Best picture, something like that is rolling in. It would be great. I'd love to see him just do it that way. He was so funny last night.
Well, we have one more story to get to, then we're going to take your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. Our last story is a trailer, and it's a good one, and it may feel familiar if you were watching Movie Talk last week because Mads Mikkelsen once again needs a parka. This movie is called Polar, and it debuts on Netflix January 25th, so it's right around the corner. Mads Mikkelsen plays an assassin who is retired. He just wants to relax and live the peaceful life. He wants to be Thanos, basically. He took care of his job, and he just wants to hang out in a cabin. But then something comes up, and a bunch of these young, up-and-coming whippersnapper assassins got to go try to kill him, and he's got to defend himself. And the trailer looks really cool. I am locked into this movie, and I did see the trailer, and I got to admit, Perry, I love the fact that it's on Netflix because I'm just going to sit at home. Not January 25th. I have some business to attend to in New York City that weekend, but maybe after the live Schmoedown, I will be enjoying Polar.
I am so upset that this movie is dropping on Netflix during Sundance. I watched this trailer, and at first I'm like, all right, I pretty much know what's going to happen. I'm not familiar with the source material that it's based on. And then all of a sudden it got crazy and colorful, and that music was so perfect. I can't stop watching the footage. It was so much crazier than maybe it was just because I went into it blind and I really had no clue what to expect. And Mads Mikkelsen is just so cool and so tough. I'm trying not to say any curse words on it, but I want to say bad fill in the blank right now. He looks like he is just going to kick some you-know-what in this movie, and I'm dying to see it now.
Thank you for sparing your language.
Yeah.
Jeff Snyder,
Always
I hope you're
trying.
taking notes. John Rocha,
Yeah.
Polar, are you locked in? Were you confused?
Yeah.
Because when Perry told me that there was this trailer starring Mads Mikkelsen for this movie Polar, I was like, oh no, we did the Arctic one on Movie Talk last week.
Yeah.
It's a different movie, right?
I thought Arctic was a prequel to Polar. I'm waiting for the third one in the trilogy. What's going to be the third one? Icicles? I'm wondering what's going to happen here.
Icicles.
I mean, it's best I could do. You're the comedian. I'm only the opener. I'm only the opener.
Could not have done better than that myself.
The Snowman. Oh God, no. Anyway, this was fantastic. This is a Rocha movie. Little exposition. Get to the fights. It just so spoke my language. I loved it. I think Taron Killam did something like this, Hunting Gunter with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they had to go kill an old hitman, which was what Schwarzenegger was. But this looks to be better execution and a lot funnier. And I agree with Perry. All of a sudden, it got colorful and it's interesting. And Vanessa Hudgens, of all people, doing a nice job there from what I saw in the trailer. And seeing all these different characters, and Catherine Winnick is in it, who I love from I think from Vikings. She's in Vikings, so to see her being a part of this is exciting as well. And Matt Lucas randomly in this thing, and Richard Dreyfuss, a real quick shot of him, and apparently Johnny Knoxville's in this thing too. So some interesting casting going on. But Mads is a funny guy. If you see his foreign stuff, Mads can do comedy within the drama, like black comedy stuff. He is so good at it. So it's nice to see him getting a chance to do it in an American film like this, or what seems like to be an American film. So I'm excited about that too.
Have you all seen Hunting Gunther?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I liked it.
Oh my God.
Quite
It's
enjoyed
more
it.
of a comedy,
That's
right?
not- yeah. It's more of a comedy. I think this is going to take itself more seriously, but
Like John Wick.
I would put more like John Wick, but an apt comparison by Rocha nonetheless. Well, I did tease something about Final Destination towards the top of the show, and that's simply The Witching Hour has an interview.
I thought you were going to give me like an update or something. I don't know.
I don't have any. You're the one that gives me updates. I'm sorry. I got Perry very excited
You did.
about a possible new Final Destination movie. There isn't that, but if you like basically the bringer of death in the Final Destination movies, or you may know Tony Todd from Candyman, The Witching Hour got an exclusive interview interview with Mr. Todd Perri. You and Haley are the hosts of The Witching Hour.
He is so wonderful. Not only is he in Final Destination and Candyman, obviously, but you know what else? He has cats.
He has cats. Okay.
We talked about horror movies and cats. Basically, there's no better hour of my life.
I was going to say, you get to horror movies eventually, right?
I swear we start with horror movies, but the cats come into the equation pretty quickly.
Okay, very good. And we move on to our live Twitter questions. Like I said, you can tweet us anytime. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. We're at Collider Video. And Aiden McCutcheon has an interesting question. He says, do you think if the best popular film category was in play for this year at the Oscars, do you think Bohemian Rhapsody would be nominated and possibly win, given what happened at the Golden Globes? Very interesting question. I think in any year that it came out, I think Bohemian Rhapsody is still going to be considered for Best Picture, not Best Popular Movie, because it's not a comic book film. It's not an action film. That's what I feel like we're getting, or a comedy. I think this is a biopic about a very famous rock band, stirring performances. I think that this is going to be a Best Picture contender, not a Best Popular Film contender. And again, we know that the Oscars are not having it this year. We're just
the exact way you just described your answer now is the problem with the popular film category. You just immediately removed superhero movies and comedies from ever having a chance at getting a real Best Picture nomination.
Exactly.
There's really no point in answering this question. I respect them asking it.
And
but
horror movies, I imagine like would Get Out have been considered a popular movie?
That's the thing. Part of the reason why it is absolutely impossible to answer this question right now is they never gave any parameters for what a popular movie would be. Is it based on how much money it made? Is it based on other parameters? I have absolutely no clue.
Yes. Well, if it is based on money, Rocha, Bohemian Rhapsody sitting there at 13 on the top moneymakers of 2018, and it's just behind A Star Is Born.
Yeah, well, there you go. And it's a subjective term, popular, right? So that's what you mentioned, Perri, what are the parameters? But, this is a film that's only 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, how does that factor into popular film? Okay, it made a lot of money. Okay, are people talking about it? Well, people have issues with the way the band is portrayed and how they played around with the historical facts, as if that's never been done in a biopic before, and they had other issues going on with how they portrayed Freddie Mercury. So these things could have come into play, but I think this film absolutely would have been nominated for a popular film in the popular film category if that was around. But that should never come. It should never be in the Oscars. That's an MTV Films category or MTV Movie Awards category or popular People's Choice. That is not an Oscar category, for God's sakes.
Okay, I'm going to give you all the top 10 moneymakers domestically of 2018, and you tell me that if they were to get nominated, would they be Best Popular? Because I have a feeling it's all going to be Best Popular. Number 10 is Solo. So if it gets nominated, it would be popular. Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's popular. Mission Impossible, Aquaman, The Grinch, Deadpool 2, Jurassic World, Incredibles 2, Avengers Infinity War, and Black Panther. I mean, those are all movies that it seems like the Oscars were trying to cover their own ass when they said, oh, no, we'll do popular movies, because those are all very popular movies. But some of them are damn good movies, too.
I would say Infinity War.
You're not getting me to play this game.
What? Infinity War and Black Panther certainly could be in the popular film category.
I would put Black. I mean,
that's what was the big knock.
But even if they had the popular one this year, the uproar if Black Panther was not just nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, true.
It's
very true.
It's a ridiculous category. I don't know why Perry's such a big fan of it. So we'll move on to our last question of the day, and this comes from Jonathan Peck in honor of the greatness of Nicolas Cage, who's having his birthday today. Happy birthday, Nick Cage! We know you're a regular reviewer. Thank you for tuning in day and day out, and thanks for all your letters. What is the best film starring Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage would write letters. He would write letters.
Yes.
Mark, I saw you on the show. It's really good.
So we'll do this in two parts. What is the best movie starring Nicolas Cage, and what's the best popular movie starring Nicolas Cage? What's your favorite Nicolas Cage movie?
You're awful.
I'm pretty bad today.
Well, look, Leaving Las Vegas. that's a fantastic performance by Nicolas Cage. Although I would throw Mandy in there as a quite.
He's so good in Mandy.
So good in Mandy. So good.
Still haven't made it through Mandy.
Bathroom scene with bathroom scene with bottle of vodka alone. That scene alone is it should sell the movie to you. But I would say Raising Arizona. That's my popular. I mean, he is so great in that movie. It is not easy to play stupid. He does a great job playing stupid, but like adorable and charming. It's just fantastic work.
That's a quote that won't come back to haunt you at all. It's not easy playing stupid. Perri Nemiroff. Favorite Nicolas Cage film?
I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but I have to throw out Face Off just because of how that was my very first introduction, because it's like, you know, the repeat viewings you grow up with on VHS on the VHS tapes, it was always that, you know, coming soon to be, and it was always in the rotation, so I had that on my mind. But Ellis, if you want another recent one, if you're not feeling Mandy, I would check out Mom and Dad.
Oh yeah, that horror.
Okay.
It's like a wild, crazy, perfect for Nick Cage kind of ride.
All right. I really liked him.
And he's really good in it. I mean, similar to Mandy, part of the reason why that movie is good is because he goes all in.
He's a fantastic actor.
He is.
People forget that with all the memes and all the craziness that he exudes, but he's a great actor. You see Joe a couple years ago?
Joe's good.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in it.
Great.
Look, there's three of them right near in the 2000s or late 90s, right? Matchstick Men, he's fantastic in that. Family Man, he's really good
Underrated
in that.
holiday movie.
Yeah, and then there was another one that just like, The Weatherman with Michael Caine, and where he's dealing with his relationship falling apart and his child. He does these quietly powerful performances in these movies. And a lot of people don't give him credit for it, and they make fun of the big ones when he's doing this. But Nick's a fun guy, and so those other movies he does to balance out the loony shit he does. Stuff he does.
I am still taking The Rock. That is my favorite Nicolas Cage movie. The movie, it might be, I think it's the second best action movie of the 90s behind, obviously, Point Break. It is just such a terrific ride, start to finish. He plays Stanley Goodspeed, the chemical super freak who still needs a gun. It's just such an awesome ride from start to finish. So many crazy twists and turns, but him and Sean Connery playing off each other. It's a very quotable movie. Before we say goodbye, I do want to give Chuck Souza a shout out because he made Hero. He took the
nice Chuck.
He took the Glass Hero.
I want to know all your answers.
That's right. And then he took a picture of himself and he's just smiling like he knows he's a hero. So congratulations, Chuck Souza. You're going up against all of us, buddy. We will see you out there on the streets. John Rocha, Perri Nemiroff.
Yes.
Good day of news. Good day of paneling. Thank you all so much. Where can the kids out there find you?
Oh, hi. At P. Nemiroff on Twitter and Instagram.
I like to surprise every so often with the plug. We don't need to worry about Rocha.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, don't.
Throw it to the what? No. Yeah,
that's all right. You can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Don't forget Collider Sports Time.
Collider Sports Time. I am merely Mark Ellis. I'll be at the Comedy Store this weekend. Yes, I am emceeing the Schmoedown Awards. You can still get tickets at markelslive.com, as well as all upcoming stand-up comedy dates that include New York and Phoenix. Throw it to the wide to say goodbye. Look at that handsome face. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. PT, for a brand new Collider Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.